Life is messy and unpredictable.
Being able to find joy in the weeds of life is so important. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kim, and we are so glad you've joined us as we figure out how to hold joy in one hand and struggle in the other.
Welcome to Joy in the Weeds. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're laughing because Beth once again forgot to hit record.
Yeah, that's okay. We love Beth. I guess Beth, I don't even know how we're going to introduce this. What are we doing today?
Well, as you can see, there are 3 trees behind each of our little frames, and we have some friends with us. So we're going to talk about Christmas, and I'll let you, I feel like you were wanting to say something.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because I want to talk about the thing in our intro that says life is messy and unpredictable. And then I was going to go right into what the tragedy that you is very painful for you. And I was going to go right into that. But then I thought, well, we can't just jump into this. We got to tell people who we're talking to. And then we can go into the weeds.
Give me a second, Kim. I know you love the weeds, but give me just at least a second. We are definitely going to get there, unfortunately. But so if you are online, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can tell that we have friends here with us. But I think it's so exciting that today you all get to see and hear from Courtney. And Courtney is the one that we're always like joking and laughing about. Although most of the time you don't hear any of that because he takes it out, which is wrong. But in any event, Courtney is the one who does all the behind the scenes work and makes this actually get out so that you all can see it and hear it. And so we are just so excited. And Courtney, I'm going to call you out, but Courtney actually invited himself to be on the podcast. I mean, we're so happy he did.
We are extremely happy he did that.
Well, Kim, you've been saying you need to be on it since like season 1.
Well,
and we're finishing season 3 now. So
wow, season 3.
Can you believe that we're finishing season 3? Holy cow.
Yeah.
So now you're on it, and you've got.
So now I'm on it. Yeah.
You have a great voice. Like, did you do radio stuff?
No, I didn't.
You should. Like, you could read like stories, or you could be like one of these late night radio hosts. Like Delilah. Yes. You could be like Delilah.
I'd make myself fall asleep. So
no, it's not that. It's just so soothing and just like anyway, that's my 2 cents.
That's hilarious. And we also, I don't want to forget Angela, who's here with me. So Angela, she's been on our podcast before, Angela, and she, if you did not see her episode or hear it, you need to go back. It's very powerful. But Angela just was here to spend some time with me, and we'd planned to record this on Monday, and then we had some circumstances happen. So it is on Friday that we're recording this, and it's going to be getting out a little late because of that. But anyway, so Angela was here visiting with me, and I was like, I think you just need to join us. So
100%. That's the best.
So I kind of invited myself in a different way.
We are down for the party. Let's do it.
Yeah. So we wanted to do a special Christmas edition, obviously. And first of all, I want to start off by asking and finding out from Courtney why you thought you would be a good.
Why did you invite yourself?
Why did you invite yourself? Because I think it's really, really fun to hear about. So share with us about that.
So Christmas is a big thing in our family. We love it a lot. And Mom always tried to make it special. And growing up, we made all of our Christmas ornaments, or at least most of them, adding to the tree each year. And probably around 2000, 2001, Mom switched to just doing all gold, all white Christmas tree. And those ornaments got packed away. And in 2010, I was just going between jobs and didn't have a lot of money. And Mom bought a second tree and was like, here you go, do whatever you want with it. And so I pulled out all those ornaments. I hijacked my sister and her boyfriend at the time, my brother-in-law now, and we added to those ornaments. I pulled out ornaments that Mom made hers and my dad's first Christmas together. I pulled out ornaments that my grandparents had made now 78 years ago that they're still on my trees.
Wow.
And then when I moved out, my mom's youngest cousin, who was in school with Beth, she and I have an unofficial Christmas tree competition in our family, and we try to see how many we can have in the house. I won last year with 13 trees. And I've added to that. We don't release this year's number until December 25, which is also her birthday. And so we tell each other our specific number then. So
Oh my word. Okay,
my
so wait a minute.
word.
I just saw someone the other day say, I think it was on TikTok. I'll just put it out there, confess. But anyway, I think it was Lay on TikTok or a man, and he was saying, my wife has now like 47 trees in the house or something, right?
I welcome it.
but then he starts showing you all the trees. And she has like 2 Christmas trees that like you light and put ornaments on. And the other trees that he's talking about are like little trees and decorative trees and, pictures of trees and all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious. So when you told me the last time we talked, you had 7. I know that's not the official number. So
that was how many I had up and decorated at the time.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to share your number. It's okay.
They all vary in size from like 26 inches and lit all the way up to 8 feet and lit.
So you are talking not like just any tree, but you're talking like Christmas trees.
Yeah. Even on my front porch.
Wow.
So another question. Do they all have themes or like?
The rooms have themes. But to me, by doing this, it's like a scrapbook that I unbox every year at Christmas. And so when I'm decorating the tree, I'm remembering that family member. I'm remembering that time spent with my sister and my mom, or my dad and myself as we're out. Because we made wooden ornaments one year. My dad and I cut them out with the jigsaw and jigsaw, and made ornaments that way one year. And or my grandfather, who I never knew, who married my grandmother, who was the daughter of immigrants in Brooklyn, New York, didn't have a lot of money, moved her out to a tobacco farm here in North Carolina, and he didn't have money for ornaments. So he went out and got pine cones and aluminum car paint that was in the barn and a flint gun and spray painted those pine cones. And I have got those on my tree every year. And it's a way of me connecting to him when I never got to know him.
That's beautiful. Wow.
See, I just, we're going to have to get into my disaster. But
yes, we are.
Yeah. Because when I saw your post last night, like literally my heart went into my stomach for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Courtney, I absolutely, like, I knew you were a crazy Christmas dude, and I knew you had lots of trees.
That needs to go on a t-shirt. No, on an ugly Christmas sweater.
I'll wear it proudly. Yeah.
I know you will.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand, all those connections. And that's just so incredibly beautiful. And frankly, I'm sure that most people that understand or know that you have that many trees, let me just put it out there. I'm sure that there are people, I'm not speaking about you, but speaking about other people, because I've heard these kind of things, that when you decorate everything, there are some people that think there's excess, right? Like, why is this so much?
Yeah. And
I
really
like too much of everything, so I'm good with it. But
I was going to say, Beth, you love the excess. It's all good.
But I will say, I think the way you have described it is probably the way it is for every single person who does excess, that other people may be critical of, like that, because they just don't know. And I love the way you talk about it being like, you said, what was it? Opening a scrapbook. Is that right?
Yeah. It's like unboxing a scrapbook every year. And, you know, I get labeled being too commercial with it. But I don't look at it that way. And it's not that I'm replacing the commercialism for the real reason for the season. It's just part of it. And being also away from family, you know, I'm 5.5 hours from my folks, 4.5 hours from my sister. It's, you know, it's like having them here with me, you know, in my house.
So on to the disaster that we've all been
Yes.
tiptoeing around. I also, when I like things in excess, bottom line, just it's true. And so I've always tried, and I think I've talked about this on other podcasts about Christmas, but we always tried to have a Christmas tree that was relevant for the time. So we had everything from homemade that all the kids brought home to things that when the kids were toddlers, before they even made anything, stuff that they could rearrange. Like they would keep decorating the tree the whole entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything was made in such a way that they could do that. It was very touchable. But then as the kids start getting older and I wanted to have something elegant, I had zero money to do it. And I was also struggling with the fact that we had made a decision that we wanted our children to be able to be at home on Christmas morning. And that came about very early on. And I was very thankful for that choice. However, with that choice comes the loss of not always, because people don't always want to come to your house, not always being able to be part of the big gatherings. And I miss my family so incredibly much, my large family. And I come from a very large family. Like, my dad had 4 brothers and, you know, they all had kids and you know how it multiplies. And then, my mom's side of the family and such. And so, one day I was in Michael's or something, and I saw a bin of $1 picture frames that were Christmassy and they were very sparkly. And so I loved that. And I grabbed a few and thought, I'm going to put like the people that we're missing that can't be with us at Christmas, I'm going to put them on our tree. And I spent, you know, I've spent all these years now, every once in a while collecting, and pretty soon I would replace some of the really cheap ones and I got early on with some nicer ones and so on and so forth. And I kept adding people, and especially as our family grew, kept adding pictures. But I also didn't keep renewing the pictures. So like the year that I put my niece and nephew on, they were about, you know, 6th and 7th grade, I think it was, that my niece and nephew got on the tree. And, you know, my niece just had a baby this year and now has her own family. But the picture that would go up on my tree is the one of her in 7th grade. There was something really special for me about that. Anyway, when I went to set up my tree here, you all know we've moved. We cannot locate them anywhere. And I mean, it's made me unpack the whole entire house because I have torn everything apart trying to find them. And we just can't. And I know that I this year decided to pack all my ornaments. Ironically, I'm such a bad packer. Usually they just got stuffed in a bin and wrapped up in paper and everything was kind of a mess. And this year, or last year after Christmas, I bought ornament boxes and to make everything orderly and everything neat and all that kind of stuff. But the picture frames, they didn't fit really well in the ornament thing. And so I found a Christmas box and put all of them in that Christmas box, and it's nowhere to be found.
That's heartbreaking.
And I think every day, God, you know how when you have something and you think like you've cried yourself out and then you realize you haven't. I'm kind of there. But anyway, I think I kept not believing that they were really not here, right? That I was going to come across them sometime, somehow. And so it's been now ever since I started decorating, which was before Thanksgiving. I've been looking, and it wasn't until this week, I think, that I really realized, I don't think you're going to find those. And I spent an entire day, and I posted on social media, and it's been interesting, the kindness that everyone shows. And, but, and I understand in the big scheme of things, this is, it's not like, it's not the end of the world, but man, is it sad. And I think the reason it's so sad is exactly what you're speaking to, Courtney, which is that I love things that are beautiful. Like I'm just like your mom. Once the kids all left, all those homemade ornaments, I got to be honest with you, most of those were made at school. I hated it when the kids kept bringing home more things from school. It's like, I do not need one more popsicle thing on my tree. And so, all of those kind of went away. And I did it by asking the kids, which ones do you want to take to your houses? Right. Well, they didn't want any of them. And so I thought, well, if you all don't want them, like, I don't need to keep displaying them. So anyway, I went to an almost all gold and white tree, and I have a very tall tree, which I love. And but what made my tree to me really special were those little picture frames and all the people. It was like in some weird way, it kind of gave it a soul. It became something that I would always so look forward to. And, as I walk past the tree, you catch a different one, you know what I'm saying? And it just reminds you. And anyway, obviously I've worked through it and it's not an issue anymore.
No, but I totally get that. If the box, because I've still got the box that my grandmother used to store those pine cones in. And if something happened to those pine cones, I mean, they're pine cones, but at the same time, they're 78 years old this year.
Yeah.
And they've been on my tree ever since I've had a tree since I was 11. And then once my mom got that tree for me, it's been on that tree since then. It was on my grandmother's tree since then, and he died in 1970. So I mean, it's been that link of that family connection and been a family tradition to have them there. So I'd be gutted, just like you are with the picture frames.
Yeah. It makes your beautiful tree. It takes a beautiful tree and it makes it valuable.
Yeah.
And that's a huge loss.
It really is.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it for me, it was a beautiful way of allowing myself, and I want us to get into what our trees are, right? Like, I want to hear about yours, Kim, and yours, Angela, too. But, I love all trees. Don't misunderstand me. Like, I think popsicle stick homemade ornament trees are absolutely precious and lovely. I also really love things that are sparkly and things that are kind of coordinated, and that's just as much part of who I am, right? And so so this was a way I really, and I don't mean to get too dramatic about it, but I really believe the year that I had that idea, that it was like God winking at me and saying, you know what, it's so precious that you love things bright and shiny and beautiful, but here is how you can make it be also the heart, right? Like, this is kind of the way. It's like, you don't have to have popsicle sticks on your tree, Beth. It's okay. That's literally how I felt that year. And so, and every year it was how it fed sort of both parts of me, right? That made it really a sentimental thing and something beautiful, but also something that really went with the aesthetic that I like. And so it kind of touched on it all. And anyway, and I know the easy thing is to say, well, you start doing it again. And I'm sure I will, but
it doesn't, it's not the same. It's like, that's like, I really literally hate the thought that came into my mind. That's like having a miscarriage and saying, well, you can have another baby.
Yes.
That's how it is.
It is.
It's really dishonoring of what that meant to you.
Yeah.
So maybe sure, you can have another baby. You can make more. And it's not the same.
Mm.
It is when, like, if someone tells you, like, you can have other pictures, it's like someone telling you you cannot grieve.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You've moved on. It's
Yeah.
literally someone telling you that. And
And
that's
grieving's
why,
part of everything. It's
yeah,
part of
100%.
processing everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's as much as part of the joy as it is, the
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I have found interesting is I had one person comment, a dear friend of mine, and then also some people, like I've been going to antique stores thinking maybe at least, because one of the things I found is they were really popular many years ago. They're not so
Mhm.
popular anymore, so they're really
Mm.
hard to find now. It used to be every place you went, they had bins of picture frames. And it was a matter of picking the ones I liked, but now they're really hard to find. And I found on the internet, I found one that I had the exact same one. And I know it was one of the very first ones I ever bought. So I know it was like $1.99 at Michael's. And it even says still Michael's on it. Like it is exact same one. And it's like $15.99 on eBay.
Oh my.
So anyway,
Oh my word.
so that gave me the idea. Well, maybe I
Wow.
need to go into some antique shops, where people are
Yes.
dropping off
Smart.
Yeah.
ornaments or whatever. Maybe I can find them. So I've looked a couple places. I haven't found one yet. Anyway, but as I was telling it, I have heard over and over and over again, that is such a great idea. The only person I have one on my tree or two on my tree. One lady yesterday, she told me, she said, I have one on my tree and it's my daughter who died when she was young.
Mm.
Oh,
And
wow.
so she has her on the tree, but she said, why don't I have all my living children on the tree? And
Mhm.
so anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting to, I'm thankful for, maybe a couple people have gotten a new idea, but anyway. So enough about my disaster. Kim, tell me about your Christmas tree.
Well, right now it has 7 ornaments on it. Because I never got to it. I've been meaning to decorate, but my son had a kidney stone and had to have surgery. So there was like being with him in the hospital and then caring for him for a couple of days. And then anyway, so life's been chaotic. But my tree is actually a very historical tree. It is kind of the history of our family. And we have a lot of homemade ornaments. And I just grabbed another one. And for those of you who can see, Cameo makes gnomes.
I love
And
it.
I have 7, and I told her I need to have 5 more. I want 12 gnomes. And they're all sorts of different ones. Like this one's a giraffe. I have a ladybug. I have pink ones and yellow ones. And the ones that she's going to make me are darker colors so that it's more of a contrast. But we have all sorts of they're our family. They're the ornaments that Tim and I made when we first got married, when we had no money. So we went through the house and we made ornaments out of the stuff that was in the house. They are. I don't have any popsicle sticks. Well, actually, I have little girls that are the old-fashioned clothespins.
Oh
They have a little
Yeah.
skirt
Yeah.
and little braids, and so and we have all the cross stitch that Tim made while we were waiting for Cameo to be born. So there's a lot of homemade. It's a very meaningful
Mhm.
meaningful tree. And there was one time when I would do the comparison thing. I might cry. Years ago, I was doing the comparison because I thought, my tree should be shiny and elegant, and there's no shame right.
No.
So this is not about you. This is about me feeling less than.
Yeah.
And one morning I was I had my Bible and I had my coffee and it was just the tree lights, and I was just sitting there looking at the tree and how beautiful it was and how it was the story of my family. And I made the decision that the beauty of the tree is more than just what it looks like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not the baubles. It's not the. It's the meaning. It's the
Mhm.
meaning, and it's the story. And I I like beautiful trees. Maybe if I would have 2, I would do it differently and have one that was, all fancy. But I will never do anything else
Oh,
but my family tree.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
You know what's so ironic is that, I told you that about how getting that idea felt like God saying, it's okay. You don't have to have all those on the tree. Because I had guilt and shame associated with not wanting my children's homemade ornaments on my tree.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of mother am I? Like, how dare you? And so I isn't it beautiful, right? That we well, when we all can just let go of that
Yes.
shame
Yeah.
and have a tree that we love,
But that we love.
you know?
Mhm.
That we love.
And there's
Yeah.
not one is not more valuable than the other by any
Exactly.
means.
Mhm.
So, oh,
Yeah.
Kim, I love hearing that. I want to see your tree sometime. I'm going to just jump in the car one of these days and take
Oh.
a trip.
Well, maybe when I get it decorated.
Yeah, okay.
Which is the plan for today. Like I was supposed to have it decorated before we started, but then again, life
Yeah.
happened.
I'm going to
So
move to Angela, but first, I do want to hear about your son. Like, is he doing all right? And do you
Oh.
mind sharing with our listeners just real briefly?
I'm,
Like,
I'm telling you, our family things come in threes, don't they? Because first, I think last time we talked, it was I had just gotten back from my mother with her pneumonia bout, and she's doing great. She went to Disney World this week and had a great time, so her energy's back. Then Jared is okay. He has a stent because the kidney stone. The kid is 26 years old. Anyway, working too hard and not drinking enough water. So he has a stent put in. He had to have surgery. The stone is 5 by 7 millimeters. And they said if anything's bigger than 5 millimeters, then that requires to put a stent in. So they're going to have to go back to when they take the stent out. If the kidney stone has not passed, which they're not expecting it to because of its size, they will then remove it. And it's just not a pleasant.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's not small. That's not
no, no, especially when you think of the tubes that they're stuck in.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yes.
yeah, and he was in so much pain on Monday night that he was vomiting.
Mhm.
And that's when Cameo called me and said, what do we do? And I'm like, I looked online because what else are you gonna do? And it said pain, vomiting, go to the ER. So that's what we did. And they wouldn't let us in the ER room. It was so frustrating because in the waiting area, Tim and I were not. So we slept in the car, waiting for them to call us when he got a room like a place where he would be by himself. And they didn't call us. So when we woke up at 3:00 in the morning and had to go to the bath, I mean, you're sleeping in the car, so you're gonna wake up. We go into the waiting room and our son is not there. It was like, where's our kid and why didn't you call us?
oh my word.
So then at 3, we were able to go to where he was in the back and stay with him. And he was back there until, so he went in at 7:30 Monday night. At 7:00 Tuesday night is when, oh no, he went.
No, he went
No,
Sunday night.
he went Sunday night. That's right, because Cameo came a day early. Cameo spends every Monday with me at home, but last week she came early. Anyway, he went in Sunday night. It was Monday night at 7:00 where they took him for surgery, and then we brought him home at 10:30, and then he spent Tuesday and Wednesday with us.
Wow.
Yeah, so. I have not spoken to him yet today, but I did see him yesterday. He worked yesterday, kind of like light load stuff. And I looked at him and I'm like, you look pale. And he's like, yeah, I've got this to do and this to do, and then I'm going home. And I think today he said he had the day off. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we have been praying for him for sure. And you. That's never fun. All right, Angela, tell us about your tree.
My tree doesn't have many history because I'm new pretty much in the country. So
right.
I didn't have many space in my bag to bring.
Yeah,
ornaments
and
and
go listen to Angela's story on the other
Yes.
podcast that she's on, so that you can understand why she said that.
you know and stuff. But I like picking colors for
Oh yeah.
years. Like every year I pick like traditional red. These past 2 years I've been picking that traditional white gold, but
Mm.
I added the black to some of the
Mm.
balls.
Oh wow.
But this year I'm doing something different. I got these ornaments that are like kind of plastic transparent that I can
Mm.
do with Cricut, some vinyl number like names and letters on it.
Okay.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm doing like names of the family that we don't have close by,
Oh.
put
Mm.
on the tree. But funny enough, like a month ago, I remember like a random phrase that the twins had to bother my older son.
Okay.
And I called my son and I told him, like, you know what? I remember when the twins used to say, "You want to be my friend?" But with a specific tone that ah drove like crazy my son Jesus. And they would just laugh at him because of the face that he would do, like, "Mom, tell them to stop." But they would just do this, like, "Want to be my friend?" But with accent, it just bugging him.
Yeah.
So I'm planning on doing like phrases that they use when they were babies.
I
That's
love it.
brilliant.
Put it in the tree, and
I
Love it.
love that.
but I'm working on it. My tree right now is not finished. So I have the beans on the side. I
Yeah.
have my huge mess with the cricket and those things on the other side. So I'm working on it. It's not
Yeah.
ready, but yeah, I just came up with that idea of putting like phrases that they had when they were babies
That's a
on
really
the,
cool idea. I love that.
I
so
love it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
working on that still.
You know, I'm curious, Angela, are there any Venezuelan traditions?
Well, I was telling Beth about that over lunch. We have the tree.
Uh-huh.
Instead of talking about Santa,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about baby Jesus bringing the
Mm-hmm.
gift.
Mhm.
Oh.
We have traditional food, but instead of
Which is
having,
what? Yeah,
which
what
is
is
traditional food, we have something called hallacas in Venezuela, which is similar to tamales.
okay.
Okay.
Don't tell a Venezuelan that hallacas is the same that tamales.
I
I'm chill with
promise
that.
I
I'm
promise I
chill
won't.
with that. But if you tell that to a Venezuelan, they will be like, hallacas is not the same as
Okay.
tamales.
Okay.
So
We won't do that.
just a heads up.
Okay.
But it's very similar, and I'm chill with that. It's just a different flowers that you put on it. So
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, but it's very similar. And we have a chicken salad with potato, um, carrots, and chicken on it, and cilantro with
Ooh,
mayo. And
sounds yummy.
I add a little bit of mustard on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Up until now, my family didn't know about
Ah!
that. Because when you tell them like add mustard, they will say no,
Oh,
ew. But they love my salad more
uh-huh.
than other salads.
Uh-huh.
Because it has
Because of the
But I add the
mustard.
mustard, and I never
Of
tell
course.
them. So,
Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
so there's that.
It's like the moms that would like whiz up broccoli and put it in
Oh
the
yeah.
spaghetti sauce. Yeah.
Something
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
Yep.
And we have this like non-Adventist and not like non-Adventist use the ham bread, which is
Mm.
bread rolled with olives and raisins on it. I
Okay.
do mine with turkey breast. I add
Mm-hmm.
cheese and I add cream cheese, like a
Mm.
row of cream cheese, and I add the raisins and the olives, and I do the bread. So that's pretty much. There's another thing that we call asado negro, which is like, if you translate it literal, will be like barbecue, black barbecue kind of thing. But it's similar to the turkey that you guys do in Thanksgiving, but it's just meat. It's in meat presentation, not turkey, but kind of
Beef.
beef. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Will be something like that. So that's pretty much the plate for New Year's and Christmas. That's have to be there. Like that's every house that you go on that date, it's you will find that. And we don't celebrate much Christmas per se, but Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. Yeah.
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 A tradition that we had as a family, it was my dad was very wealthy when we were growing up. So he will take my brother and myself to this, like to these companies to buy toys. So we will buy toys. I will buy the girls' toys, and my brother will buy boys' toys. And we will go to the neighborhood. I will go to give to all the girls the toys, and my brother will give to the boys the toys. And it was awesome. I always remember that like a big time.
That's really cool.
That
Because
is.
I would go to their houses, spend time with them, because my dad would make us not just give them the toy, but he always said, take the time to listen, take the time to know them. So we would make a connection with them and spend time with them, and would give them a toy to the kids in the neighborhood. So that was a tradition that we always had. When we got our kids, and like my husband and I, we didn't have the amount of money to give toys to all the neighborhood.
Right.
But we would choose one family that we would know that we would knew that they were struggling, and we would buy the toys and like a whole like a grocery shopping for them, and we would take that for them on Christmas Eve morning and give them all the food, and the kids would give them the toys and spend some time with the kids. And my kids still remember that. So that's
That's
kind of
really
a
cool.
tradition that we had there
Yeah.
is cool.
in Venezuela.
That's really neat. That's really neat.
So yeah, that's pretty much our traditions. Like, oh, and I was telling Beth that we don't have fireworks on. Like, here is 4th of July, the Independence Day. Over there is 5th of July.
Okay.
Very, very, very curious. So, we don't have fireworks on the 5th of July, but we have them from Christmas Eve till New Year. And that's every day, and that's something that
Wow.
That's cool.
with that. That's super cool.
Wow.
I'm
So
sure the neighborhood dogs like that.
yeah, they get used to it. We never sat like dogs afraid of them. They would be just like
Huh.
Wow.
yeah. We
Courtney.
had dogs always, and they never were afraid of that. And we were big with with the fireworks. Yeah, so that's another thing. We had the fireworks over there. Is just like from Christmas till New Year's.
Till New Year's. Wow.
Courtney, do you have any specific family traditions?
We have some that came over with my great grandmother from Norway. One of which is we open Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve night because in Scandinavian countries they believe, I'm trying to remember his name, the Norwegian word for Santa. He comes Christmas Eve and delivers the gifts, and so we open them on Christmas Eve. My dad's family, it's Christmas morning, so we were able to really balance. Once we were in the same area as most of them, we were able to balance family time between the two. And now that really works out well with my sister and my brother-in-law's family, because they can be with us Christmas Eve and be with them Christmas Day. About 20 years ago, Mom started, we used to host a Christmas Eve service. We were part of a pastoral staff of 7 pastors' families. And so it was our gift to the members. We had 3,000 church members And so it was our gift to them was this Christmas Eve service. And so then when we would come home from that, Mom would have minestrone soup, and we'd have that with homemade bread, and then open the toys and whatever else was there.
Mhm, mhm.
I still make some of the Norwegian pastries that my cousins don't hear.
Well, I'm coming to your house.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's like heavy in eggs
Oh,
and egg yolks. Sorry, I know
okay.
you're a vegan.
Yeah, I won't be doing that. Well, I'm allergic to eggs too, so it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, there's one pastry that has like 10 eggs that are
Oh,
used in
yeah.
making it.
Wow.
So I only make
Yeah.
those like around Christmas
Okay.
and whenever there's going to be a ton of family around,
Sure.
because I don't want to eat them all.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, those are some of our traditions.
That's neat.
We used to go out and cut down the tree
Yeah.
until when we moved to Tennessee. The house that we purchased, the living room ceiling had 16.5-foot ceilings, and so we're like, okay, we can get the largest tree possible. And they don't make Christmas tree stands that you purchase at Lowe's, Home Depot, or Ace, or any one of those to accommodate a really tall tree.
Mm.
And so they all fell. And so finally Mom was like, that's it. I'm not dealing with wiping up water and soaking it up out of carpet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we even put a 4x4 sheet of plywood attached to the Christmas tree stand, and it still fell. So yeah, the first year we got a 15-foot tree. We looked like the Griswolds going down the interstate with
That's funny.
the tree
15.
just wrapped around our car.
That's huge.
And it became 11.5 feet in the middle of the night
Oh.
because it fell, and we didn't know enough people to
Oh.
call at 4 a.m, to come help us
Okay.
put that up.
Okay then.
That's hilarious.
So-
Okay,
so-
go ahead.
So where I'm just curious because so if the Norwegians do Christmas Eve and the
Mhm.
Venezuelans do Christmas Eve and the French Canadians do Christmas Eve and the Germans and Latvians do Christmas Eve, where does Christmas Day come from? Is that the British? Is that the English?
That's a really good question. I
'Cause
think
we-
it is. I think
'cause-
it is the British.
Okay, because I grew up doing Christmas
Yeah.
Eve, both my dad and my mom.
Yeah, I have German on one side, and so my mom's mom always did Christmas Eve, and
Yeah.
my dad's family always did Christmas Day. So we're a split family as well.
Mhm.
So did you do goose or duck for your Christmas meal? Because my aunt would make duck and
Are you asking me or Beth?
the
'Cause I'm a
the German,
vegetarian.
the German.
No, I'm like 7th generation vegetarian. So
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, that duck is good. Vegetarian or not. I'm a cheating vegetarian.
No,
Cheating vegan.
all of my family recipes are that I'm aware of. are
Really?
vegetarian, so.
We've had to convert some of our family recipes to
Oh yeah.
soy products
Oh yeah. How does that?
because you can't get reindeer meat, a lot of places. So
That is so funny. Okay, so I do have a question for all of us.
Okay.
I'm curious, like if you could only make one thing for Christmas to eat,
Hmm.
like what's the one thing that like you'd have to have for it to feel like Christmas?
Shortbread cookies.
Do you dip them in chocolate or
Nope. Just
decorate them?
they're just boring, rolled out shortbread cookies. Have 'em with
buttery.
buttery and there's I say for me shortbread cookies, for my kids spritz cookies with almond flavoring. That's their favorite.
Mhm.
Okay. Courtney.
That's tough.
Oh, I love my mom's gingerbread cookies, but the one thing that, again, it's what I grew up with and what I still make when we've got the big families around, and that's it's called Fariman. It's roughly translated, it's fat man's belt buckle. And it's this pastry that's turned in and then deep fried and covered in powdered sugar.
And hence
Yes.
fat man has to undo his belt buckle.
Well, they
Okay,
say
wait
it
a minute.
looks, they say it looks like a belt buckle. I don't think it looks like a belt buckle, but you
Okay.
know,
Courtney, you got it. I'm really curious because our family does something too. Where is that from and what is it called again?
that one's from Norway. And there's a similar cookie in each, or pastry in each Scandinavian country, and they all have slightly different names. And it also comes down to the spice that's added into the pastry as to what region it's from. And so this one's called Fattigmannsspakel, and that's Fat Man's Belt Buckle.
And what's the spice for yours?
For ours, because we're from just west of Oslo, and so it's cardamom that's in ours.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah.
So we do one where it's like a rectangle. It's like a really rich, enriched dough. It's essentially like a donut, but not.
Like a beignet.
It's definitely heartier when it's done. Like it's not as airy. It's a little more dense, but it has nutmeg in it.
Okay.
And but you do a rectangle and do 3 slits, and then take the 2 center rings and pull them through, and drop it in the fat and fry it.
This has a specific cutter, and I've got it in the kitchen, but it cuts out a diamond shape with a slit in the middle, and you flip one of those tails through and pull it through.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this is when
That's fascinating.
And so
because you
it's-
don't cut it all the way through, right? You just cut slits inside the rectangle, and then you end up with 4. What do you call it? 4 little lines or 4 little strips that are all connected.
Okay.
So then you take the inside one, no, the outside ones, and you pull them through the inside ones, and then pull them out, and it turns into this like pretzel-y kind of
Deliciousness.
that then you dip in either powdered sugar, eat them plain, or cinnamon and sugar. So
See, yeah. That's
and I
that's
make
better
those,
than a pretzel.
we call those kikla.
Kikla. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay, Angela, what would be the food that you would want to?
I would say the adaka.
Yeah.
And I need to explain a little bit better myself about the difference between the adaka and the tamale for the Venezuelans is because the only time that Venezuelans sit together, it might sound ugly, but the drunk uncle and there's always one, and the worker dad, and like always there's always one in the family, like all together, all the family comes together, that absent brother that wants to be around with friends, like all the family comes together, sit together, and they make the hallacas together. So it's one long table. They get together, they put them together. It's one day, the whole day, making the hallacas, because that's the special food for Christmas. So it's more than just the Christmas food. Is what is behind that.
Yeah.
So I think I would choose
It's
that.
the time.
Yes.
The time that's spent together.
And the togetherness. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. Wow. So Beth, what would be the food that you would have to have?
You know, after I asked this question, I said, why did you ask that question? Because I don't know how I'd answer it. Which I do a lot. I mean, my favorite thing, but I don't make it every year, so I feel like I can't even use it as a thing, is my mom makes a candy cane cookie, and I'm not even a fan of candy canes, but this candy cane cookie, it's made with, you have to use actually legit peppermint oil in it. You can't use extract. And then you 2 different color doughs, and so you roll out the 2 doughs and you make a little candy cane, and then it is dipped in powdered sugar with crushed candy canes in it. And so, but they're crushed to a fine powder, which really makes it almost like pink. And so so the red and the tan, because it's never fully white, turns into this white kind of powdery, pinkish hued, glistening cookie that is delicious. But they're really hard to make, and they're very very time consuming. And you have to get the dough perfectly right, because to make them right, the dough needs to be so delicate that it's almost impossible to roll and twist and make the shape.
Oh,
And
wow.
so if you make it so it's easy to do that, then the cookie's too
Then
tough.
it's not
And
good.
so
Yeah.
it really takes patience and
Mhm.
a fine hand to be able to do them. So I love them so much. And as a little girl, that was always my favorite. That, or like wedding cookies. I really like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I think it's cookies. I love cookies, and I loved powdered sugar. So anything that's,
Mhm.
you know,
Combines the two.
yeah. But kikla, I don't consider that like a Christmas thing.
Mhm.
However, it is something we always had when we were together as a family. And so
Yeah.
Mm.
it is synonymous with family time, which is,
Mhm.
you know, Christmas. So
Mhm.
I do love kikla, and I love an excuse to make it because it's one of my favorite things in all the world. And you don't just sit and make yourself a whole pile of donuts for just yourself. Like, that's against the rules. Somewhere, evidently, that's a rule. So,
I mean,
You
who's
need
to
to
say you
find words.
can't?
oh my word.
You
My
can do
belt,
anything you want.
my pant size says you
There you
can.
go. Okay.
But man, would I.
Wow.
If you all think it's funny that Angela, those of you that are watching, Angela and I are keep leaning in, is because we're having to share like
The earbud. Yeah, the
the
ear
ear
thing.
thing
Yeah.
in here. So anyway,
Yeah.
we're trying to do that. But oh, I tell you what, this has been awesome. I am
It's been
so. What I wish is that we could do like a progressive party and go to all of
Mhm.
our houses. And Courtney, I'm going to come see your house. Like, when you get it all done, you need to let me know. I want to come
Okay.
and have a tour.
Well, I'll be up your way on Sunday, actually. So
I have a question though.
What's your
Yeah.
question?
How long it takes for you to put away the trees and
Well, how long it takes is a little subjective, because I do tend to leave them up through January, because
wow, good for you.
it's such a dark, dreary month,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
Christmas lights just kind of, brighten the mood, brighten the
They
soul,
do. They do.
and they did a survey this last year because of COVID coming out of the pandemic and everything, of when are people putting up their trees, and there were people putting them up in August and
Oh yeah.
September.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, I remember when Christmas decorations weren't in stores until September, and
Mhm.
now they're in June
Mhm,
this year
mhm.
they were. But
Mhm.
for me, I get it down. If it's the rule in our family was it had to be down by mom's birthday, which is February 11. So I try to take the ornaments down, pack those up, leave the trees up lit for a little while, and
Mhm.
then take those down. But it takes me about 2 weeks to get all the trees up and decorated. So I actually start on October 31st. So
Well, yeah, it's after Canadian Thanksgiving, so you can do anything you want.
yeah.
Like, after Canadian Thanksgiving, it's time for Christmas. Like, that's
Well,
just the way it is.
we
You
have
need to do a meme of that, Kim.
Yeah.
That's so
These
good.
well, I
these
figure if they can start at the Biltmore House on October 31st,
Uh-huh.
where I grew up just down, the road from it,
exactly.
why not?
Yeah, that's true.
Because you're just as good as the Biltmores,
Yeah.
or the Vanderbilts, or whatever their
Yeah.
names are.
And that's where I will be
You're
on Sunday.
better than them.
Oh, that's so good.
Now I have another question. I'm sorry, I'm taking.
Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
The third host is Angela.
Since this is so meaningful, like this is amazing, Courtney. Like, let me tell you, it's amazing how meaningful your trees are. Like, whoa, hands down, like
Thank
for
you.
real. What do you feel when you are putting away all this? When you are putting your ornaments like with such deep meaning and respect to your ornaments and history and love and like, do you have an special, I don't know, music that you put or like what do you feel like, what is your routine there, like, because it's
It,
such a meaningful time. And
it is, and I do get very nostalgic and very sad while I'm putting them away. I know that, in 10 months they'll be back up, or sometimes less than 10 months. But no, I don't have any special music that I put on. I tend to put on something, from Netflix or whatever, and just kind of have it in the background going. But it's sad whenever I have to put them away, because like I said, the winter months are just so dark. I leave the house in the dark, I come home in the dark, and it's just a depressing time of the year without the lights. And so I kind of wish that I could leave them up longer. The one at the office, if I don't get that one down too soon, I hear about it from Tank, so I got to get that one down.
I'm not speaking of Tank, but there are some real curmudgeons out there, and that like to put all these rules on all of us for what we should and should not. And I'm just over it. Maybe it's because I'm 50 and we don't care anymore. But
sure don't.
But I think one of my favorite things is when I, at some point, was thinking about Christmas. It may even been when we were preparing for one of our podcasts, but over the last 3 years. But I just thinking about the fact that Jesus says, "I am the light of the world." He could have, and he does call himself other things, but to say that he is the light of the world, I think highlights the importance of light. And all of these things that we talked about, they do bring such joy and such light to, like you said, some really dreary months. And so I say, with reckless abandon, put up as many lights as you possibly can and as many trees as you want to, and enjoy them for as long as you want to. And maybe if you have Santa Claus dancing in your front yard, for your neighbors, put that away. But or maybe they just need to experience it,
or not.
I know.
You can have your dancing Santa.
Hey.
Yesterday we went to a friend's house, and they have these 3 deer, like 2 parents and a baby, like wooden deer, like made with twigs. Anyway, apparently they were the husband's fathers, and the poor baby deer had fallen over, and I'm like, "You poor baby, I have to fix you." I tried to put it back up. Anyway, so dancing Santa, deer, lights.
And if we have to endure, the 16-foot skeletons in people's yards, around Halloween, why can't they endure a nativity or Santa or a bobbing reindeer out there, or Snoopy?
I actually have a neighbor with a skeleton with a Santa shirt right now.
Brilliant.
So if I have to see that, like, you can have your
hilarious.
Santa dancing in your front yard. So,
all right,
go for it.
In the last 24 hours, what's something that's brought you joy, laughter, or a smile? Angela, go.
Yeah,
being here. Man, I miss so much this girl right here. Being here.
We've done almost nothing, but we've had a great time doing nothing.
That's the best thing in the world, doing nothing together.
It's been wonderful. Wonderful.
What about you, Courtney?
FaceTiming with my nephew.
How old is he?
He's 3.5. He'll be 4 in February. And he's just super fun. And he and my sister sat down this week and made a Amazon Christmas list together for Uncle Court. And so we got to talk about that. So
that must have been fantastic.
Oh, it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Kim.
Okay, so I'm going to do 2 things because
me too. We're allowed. We're the hosts.
Because I can't not. Okay, so I don't know if you can see what this says. This is a mug I found at Kirkland's this morning, not a mug, a tumbler, and it says, "I told my therapist about you." And when I saw it, I had to buy it. I found it this morning. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I love it.
I don't know whether I'm going to give it to a client, which I'm not sure if that's ethical, or if I'm going to make a vase out of it and put it where all my clients can see. But it's a nice color too. I really like.
Or just drink out of it while you're in therapy session.
And just Like drinks when you,
Yeah, so
you
that
are
they
in
can.
therapy, you
Yeah,
put it like
I'll
in
do
the
it like
front.
this so they can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, Tim and I went to Raleigh yesterday for a Chris Tomlin and Mercy Me concert with some friends of ours. It was wonderful. I'm exhausted. I went to bed at 1:00 last night because we drove home. But the best part of the whole concert, it was Chris Tomlin first and then Mercy Me. And of course I cried. But the very last song that Mercy Me did was their happy dance song. And they invited everybody to stand up. And when it said when he says like happy dance, like at the end, whatever, that's when everybody was supposed to dance. Well, I didn't just dance then. I danced the entire time through the whole song. I love the song. I hung on to Tim's shirt so that I wouldn't fall over the bleachers and go tumbling down. I was so exhausted. I danced it was the funnest. It was so fun. And I hope none of the officers at the conference hear this because my husband will get fired with how much dancing I was doing. Oh, it was the best. I laughed and laughed. And people our friends were watching and they were like, oh, okay. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Okay, so mine, I have two. Number one, Angela came, and we really have had a great time. I've been showing her around my little area, my little new town, and some of my favorite little spots. And anyway, that's just brought me such joy. But the other one is this morning, I got a text from my daughter, and she showed a picture, which, I love these live pictures you touch and you get to watch them move. Anyway, and it was my granddaughter. There was an empty tree in the background, and my granddaughter with this huge tub of ornaments getting, like she can barely walk, right? And she's pulling ornaments out. And my daughter said, Emma helping mommy decorate the tree. So
that's so wonderful.
yeah, and I just, I'm thinking about what we were getting ready to talk about here, and just how beautiful to see my granddaughter starting her very first, year of. Well, I mean, she was born last year, but barely. So, her getting to experience starting the tradition of doing that. So, anyway,
it is fun seeing it through kids' eyes again.
Yeah, it really is. It really
so
is.
so that's your first for your new chapter with your new photos. That can be that can be your first one. Have a still of that and find the frame and put that on your tree.
It's a great plan.
Yes.
It's a great plan.
Yes.
You're so good at this whole 4 thing.
I sure am.
All right. Well, hey, you guys, thank you so much, Courtney and Angela for being here. What a joy. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Go put up some lights, blind your neighbors.
Yes. And don't worry what everybody says.
Yeah.
Do what brings joy to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and stop with the shame about any of it. So. All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We would really love to hear from you. So please find us. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Joy in the Weeds. You can also email us. Our email address is joy@carolinasda.org. That's joy@carolinasda.org. Now, we hope that today, as you navigate the weeds, you will also hold on to moments of joy. This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.